The book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, What the Rich Teach Their Kids About Money That the Poor and Middle Class Do Not Buy. Robert T. Kiyosaki, Part 1, Intro, The Questions That Spark It All. Why is it that some people do so well in school, graduate with honors, land a stable job in government or a large corporation, and work hard for 30 years? Yet, when they grow old, they still worry about every little expense. And why is it that others who dropped out of high school started a small business and just a few years later are living freely, traveling, doing what they love, all while having a steady stream of income? The answer might surprise you. It's not because they're lucky, it's not because they're smarter, it's because they learned something schools never teach. Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered, why am I working so hard every day, yet still not getting ahead financially? Have you ever felt trapped in the cycle? Earn, spend, pay debt, repeat. If so, the book I'm about to share could reshape your entire financial map. This isn't one of those flashy books that promises to make you rich in 30 days. It won't offer you quick investment hacks. And it definitely won't tell you to quit your job and dive into a get-rich-quick scheme. Quite the opposite. It's grounded, it's honest, and it's real. It's the story of a young boy caught between two father figures. One was his biological dad, highly educated, hardworking his whole life. The other was his best friend's dad, a high school dropout but financially free and wise when it came to teaching money lessons from the age of 9. The book is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, written by Robert T. Kiyosaki, a man who built his wealth from scratch and shared the mindset he learned from his rich dad. But this isn't just a book, it's a mirror, one that helps you reflect on your own beliefs about money. It makes you ask, whose advice am I really following? What am I teaching my kids about money? And if I stay on the same path, will the next 10 years be any different? So let's dive in and explore the timeless, practical, and life-changing lessons that have helped millions of people see money in a completely new way. And maybe it will change your view too. Part 2, Context and Storytelling Style. Most finance books are filled with numbers. You open them up and see balance sheets, cash flow diagrams, return on investment calculations, and income statements. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad is different. There are no formulas, no complex models, no technical language, just real stories from real life. Simple, honest, and clear enough that even a 10-year-old could understand and apply them. Robert Kiyosaki, the author, grew up in a typical middle-class family. His biological father, highly educated, worked in the school system, and believed in job security and climbing the ladder through degrees. Robert calls him the poor dad. On the other hand, his best friend's father, a businessman, high school dropout with no fancy degrees, deeply understood how money works, how to invest, and how to build wealth. That was the rich dad. Two dads, two mindsets, two completely different financial paths. The book tells the story of how Robert grew up caught between these two ways of thinking. One side said, study hard, get a good job, save money, pay off debt, and then retire. The other side said, learn how to make money work for you, instead of spending your life working for money. Neither dad was wrong. Both loved their kids and wanted the best for them, but each lived with a completely different financial belief system. That's what makes this book so unique. It doesn't preach. It tells stories. It doesn't give you commands. It shows you another way of thinking. You're not convinced by theories. You're moved by a quiet question in the back of your mind. Which dad am I living like? And if I keep going this way, will I end up like him? In the next part, I'll walk you through the very first and most important lesson in the book. The rich don't work for money. They make money work for them. Part 3, Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. One day, when Robert was just 9 years old, he asked his poor dad, "How do I become rich?" His dad answered, "Study hard and get a high-paying job." So Robert turned to his rich dad instead. But instead of giving advice, rich dad gave him a job. It paid just a few cents per hour, not to help him earn money, but to teach him something much more important. Don't work for money. Learn how to spot opportunities. This was a shock to a 9-year-old. But it's a lesson many adults still haven't fully learned. Most of us grow up with one default reaction. When we don't have enough money, we work harder. But if your only skill is trading time for a paycheck, you've become a machine that swaps hours for dollars. And when you stop working, your income stops too. So what do the rich do differently? They work to understand how money flows, not just to earn it. They use their early effort to build assets, things that keep making money even when they're not working. And here lies the biggest difference between the two dads in the book. Poor dad taught, work hard to earn money. Rich dad taught, learn how to make money work for you. One is active income. You have to be there to earn. The other is passive income. Build it once, earn it over and over. So let me ask you, which path are you on? Are you working day after day just to pay bills, cover debts, and wait for your next paycheck? Or are you carving out time to build something, even something small, that grows with time? The first lesson in Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't about finance. It's about mindset. Money is a tool, not your master. If you don't learn to control it, you'll spend your life being controlled by it. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. Why don't schools teach us about money? And why do the most successful people learn the things that were never in the textbooks? Part 4. Schools don't teach you about money. At some point, Robert asked himself a simple but powerful question. Why does school teach me how to solve math problems, read books, and write essays, but never how to use money? His rich dad had a blunt answer. Schools were designed to train employees, not people seeking financial freedom. Think back to your own school days. Did anyone ever teach you how to create a personal financial plan? Did you learn about passive income? How to tell good debt from bad, or how to invest for the long term? Most of us finish school with a diploma, but no clue how money really works. We know the Pythagorean theorem, but not how to manage cash flow. We can break down a novel, but not read a financial statement. So we go to work, earn money, and then live based on instincts. Spending, borrowing, and hoping things will somehow work out. Robert learned early on, no one is coming to teach you how to master money. If you don't take control and learn it yourself, you'll spend your life exposed to financial risk. His poor dad, well-educated, respected in the school system, still spent his life worrying about money. Meanwhile, his rich dad, who dropped out after 8th grade, understood how to build wealth and reached financial freedom early in life. So what's the difference? It's not about grades. It's not about degrees. It's about how they chose to learn. The wealthy learn from real life. They learn from mistakes, and they learn what most people ignore. You don't need to wait for someone else to teach you. You can start today, simply by asking yourself, why am I working so hard and still not understanding how money flows? In the next part, we'll explore one of the most important and most misunderstood concepts in the book, the difference between assets and liabilities. And once you truly get it, it might change the way you use money forever. Part 5. Knowing the difference between assets and liabilities. If you ask 10 people what an asset is, most will say things like a house, a car, a phone, or maybe gold. But Rich Dad had a much simpler definition. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. It sounds simple, but it flips the way you see your finances. Here's a quick example. You buy a house to live in. Every month, you pay the mortgage, taxes, and maintenance. That's a liability. But if you buy a house and rent it out, and it brings you monthly income, now that's an asset. A brand new car, it loses value fast and costs money to keep running. That's a liability. But a car used for ride sharing that brings in steady income, that's an asset. Poor Dad believed his big house was his greatest asset. But Rich Dad said, the house you live in is not an asset, unless it pays you. So the real question is, how much of what you own is actually making you money? And how much just looks like success? While quietly draining your bank account, Robert explains that poor and middle-class people often do it backward. They earn money, then spend it, or borrow more. They buy liabilities, and then work even harder to pay off things that never bring money back in. The rich do the opposite. They earn money, invest in assets, let the assets generate cash, and then use that cash to buy liabilities if they want to. They don't trade hard work for things that make them poorer. If you remember just one thing from this book, let it be this. The rich buy assets. The poor buy liabilities. And think they're assets. From today on, with every financial decision, pause for just 3 seconds. Ask yourself, does this put money in my pocket or take it out? In the next part, we'll look at a cycle that traps most people for life. It feels stable, but it's actually pulling them further away from freedom. Robert calls it the rat race. Part 6. Understanding and escaping the rat race. Picture a hamster running on a spinning wheel. It runs fast. It's not lazy. It keeps going all day. But after all that effort, it ends up exactly where it started. That's what Robert calls the rat race. It starts like this. You go to school, you get a degree, you land a job, you earn a paycheck, you spend money, you run out, you work more, you spend more, you take on debt, and the cycle repeats until the end of your life. Sound familiar? You get a raise, you buy a bigger house, you get a bonus, you upgrade your phone, you qualify for a loan, you borrow more. Your income rises, but so do your expenses. Your responsibilities increase, the pressure grows, and freedom, it disappears. The poor and middle class live inside what looks like a comfortable bubble. They've got jobs, homes, cars, but they're not in control. They work to pay off debt. They live to keep up appearances. And they hustle to maintain a version of success, defined by someone else. Rich Dad said, if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you'll work until the day you die. That's why escaping the rat race isn't about how much you earn. It's about whether you have passive income, whether you own assets that make money without your time, and whether you're truly free or just look like it on the outside. The book isn't telling you to quit your job. It's telling you to use your job as a stepping stone. Use it to build assets. Don't let your salary be your only income. Don't work your whole life just to stay stuck on a wheel you never meant to be on. In the next part, we'll dig deeper into the root cause of all this. Why don't schools teach us about money? And what would change if you learned the way the rich teach their kids? Part 7. Financial education is more important than a degree. Growing up, we were all told the same thing. Study hard, get good grades, find a stable job. But almost no one taught us how to read a financial statement, how to tell the difference between an asset and a liability, how to create passive income, or how to pay taxes in smarter ways. Robert Kiyosaki calls this the deadly gap in modern education. His poor dad, a teacher with advanced degrees, believed that academic education was the only key to success. But his rich dad, who never finished high school, believed that financial education was what really helped you keep your money and grow it. You could have an MBA, work at a prestigious bank, and still live paycheck to paycheck with debt and no income beyond your salary. Or you could drop out after high school, but know how to invest in assets and reach financial freedom before you're 40. The difference isn't how many years you spent in school. It's what you were taught about money. Robert says, don't work for money. Learn how to make money work for you. Financial education isn't just a subject in school, it's a way of life. And if you want your kids to grow up with more freedom, start by helping them understand this. Not everyone with a high salary is rich. Not everyone with a big house is free. And not everyone who looks successful is actually living a life worth living. Next, we'll explore something just as important: how to spot and build real assets, the kind that feed you, not drain you. Part 8. Build assets, avoid liabilities. One of the clearest and most powerful lessons in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is how Robert Kiyosaki defines assets and liabilities. And his definition is nothing like what most people think. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out. It sounds simple, but once you apply it, you may realize that many of your past financial decisions were actually mistakes. For example, buying a house beyond your budget and struggling every month to pay loans, taxes, and maintenance. That's a liability. Getting a new car on credit just to look the part, that's a liability too. But investing in a portfolio that gives you monthly returns, that's an asset. Opening a small cafe and hiring others to run it for a profit, that's an asset, as long as it brings in positive income. Once you see this difference clearly, you'll begin to look at every expense in a whole new way. Most importantly, Poor Dad said, buy a big house to show the world you've made it. Rich Dad said, buy assets first, and let them buy you the house later. Robert was taught early on, every dollar you earn should be seen as potential to become an asset. A saved dollar isn't just sitting there, it's a seed. And if you plant it wisely, it will grow. Even building a small portfolio of assets is like laying the first bricks of financial freedom. That could be an investment account, a digital product you sell online, a website that brings in passive income, or even a skill that lets you freelance on the side. In the next part, we'll explore a key mindset shift: why you shouldn't work just for money, but work to learn and grow your financial skills. Part 9. Work to learn, not just to earn. Most of us are taught to follow this path. Study hard, get a job, work harder to earn more money. But Robert's rich dad had a different perspective. When you're young, don't just work for money. Work to learn, and learn from as many areas as you can. What does that mean? Most employees focus on their technical skills. Accountants know numbers. Doctors know medicine. Engineers know how to build. But many don't understand money. They don't know sales, or marketing, or how to invest, or how to manage risk and people. So even if they're excellent at their job, they still work for someone else. Rich Dad's advice was clear. If you want to lead, learn sales. If you want freedom, learn investing. If you want wealth, learn how to manage money, people, and risk. Robert once took a low-paying job at a copy machine company just to learn how to sell. His friends laughed at him. But later, that skill helped him become a successful real estate investor. So what's the takeaway? Instead of asking, how much does this job pay? Ask this instead. What does this job teach me? Will this skill help me build assets in the future? Don't just be a cog in someone else's machine. Be the person who understands how the whole machine works. And how to build your own? Because when you master those skills, You won't just make money. You'll create systems that make money for you. In the final part of this video, we'll bring everything together. And by now, you might be asking yourself, am I thinking like the poor dad or the rich dad? Part 10. Summary and call to action. If you've made it this far, you're probably asking yourself, am I thinking about money like the poor dad or the rich dad? The real difference isn't in how much money you have in the bank. It's in how you think about money and what actions you take every single day. Rich dad. Poor dad doesn't give you a shortcut to get rich in a week. It doesn't hand you a shiny success formula. But it gives you something more important, the right mindset to build lasting financial freedom from the ground up. If you're stuck in the loop of working, getting paid, spending it, and waiting for the next paycheck, and you've been wondering, will I still be living this way 5 years from now? Then this book is worth reading, carefully and more than once. You'll find the official book link in the description below. If you use that link to get the book, you'll also be supporting this channel, so I can keep making more valuable content just like this. If you found this video helpful, hit like. It helps spread this message to more people. Subscribe, so you don't miss future book reviews and money lessons. And if something in this video really made you think, leave a comment and let me know. Which mindset shift stood out the most for you? I believe this with all my heart. The right book at the right time can completely change how you earn, how you grow, and how you live your life. Thanks for watching. And remember, the rich don't work for money. They make money work for them.